Hello. Hi,
Hello, everyone. Hey, Deborah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jerry?
I'm good. I'm excited about our little second webinar we have going on right now.
Me
We've got some
too.
amazing testimonials. We got some amazing examples. We got some really great revealing that our CEO, Scott Tennett's going to be doing. And just to talk about how voltage is the foundation of health and wellness. So for those of you who don't know who Senergy Wellness is, we've been around for over 20 years, 21 years. And I find that the word biohacking is a big word right now, right? And so is integrative health for that matter. What a lot of people don't realize is that when we first meet them, like, oh, you're part of the biohacking movement. I'm like, yeah, we've been around for 21 years. And so we've always been kind of here, the pioneers, if you will, of voltage, because we really set up a really great foundation of what voltage is. But it's been a blessing really since COVID that people are wanting more information and seeing the trajectory of healthcare and integrative and holistic. We now know about holistic dentists. We now know about functional medicine. And when someone says, I need a second opinion, you can get a really good second opinion and not just the same opinion from a different doctor that follows the same standard level of care. So we've seen it all. And we've been here and we have helped a ton of people with figuring out what their chronic illness is, and just a way of low voltage is what we do best. Don't you agree?
I agree. And let's just take a second. I want to check in on the chat here. Thanks everyone who's joining us on, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and then just actually like in our little platform here as well. We've got people checking in from all over the world, which is so incredible. Hello everyone from Australia, and then we've got Canada, North Carolina, Sweden, Arizona, Milwaukee.
That's fascinating.
So many places. Can you also, just as Jerry, I'd love for you to, share your own personal testimony and talk about your brother and all of that. But while Jerry is telling this story and kind of enlightening us, I would love if y'all can share in the chat if you are a device owner, if you are brand new to this. It would just be really great to get a feel for like where everyone's at, and then we'll just go from there. So Jerry, go ahead and I'd love to hear a little more about your personal testimony.
Sure. But before we start, if there's a device owner on here, just so we talk, and I'm not going to show my bare feet, but if you're going to be with us for a while, get your foot plates out, connect it to your biomodulator, because we're going to be here for about an hour, Deborah?
Yep. A little over an hour.
Okay, put my feet back on here. So while I'm sitting here talking with you guys, we are charging, especially in this day of working from home. We're sitting at our desk for 8 to 10 hours, right? So I'm just sitting here. Why wouldn't I connect my foot plates to get that charging done to my total body charge, especially my lower extremities as well? I'm not going to be able to do hand grips because I have to type, but just wanted to people know that if you are a device owner, get your foot plates out. Let's charge together. So, I've been with Senergy for about 7 years now, and I didn't know anything about holistic or integrative or biohacking. I come from a very traditional medicine background. The doctors know everything, listen to what they tell you to do, and don't question. Well, when I met Scott Tennett, who is now a very dear friend of mine, I came and I had no experience, and I sat and talked with him for about 2 hours. And I left so inspired, and I left angry because why do I not know this stuff? I could have helped my mom and dad before they passed, but yet I was also inspired and hopeful for the future. So again, not knowing anything, I 3 months in, I'm kind of getting used to the accounting and marketing side of things. And then my brother has a stroke. He has a stroke, and I get a call 3 days later and say, your brother's had a stroke. He's lost his ability to see color. He can't see any peripheral vision. He sees only figures. He has to wear sunglasses inside the house. That's how sensitive his eyes became. And he can see figures. He couldn't tell who you were unless he knew the figure. And of course, he's at this point raising his 2-year-old grandson at this time. And it's devastating news, absolutely devastating. So I went to Scott Tennett. I went to his office and said, Scott, my brother had a stroke. What do we do here? And so he literally handed me, and you can see my biotransducer crystal wave is on. And the biomodulator, he goes, hey, take this to your brother. This is what you want to do. So I get over to my brother. I take the biotransducer and I put it on his eye for 15 minutes. Now, of course, my brother at this point is devastated and really has nothing to lose. But he's like, "What are you doing? What is this woohoo that you're doing? I don't get it." I said, "Bro, just close your eyes. I'm going to treat your eye." So literally, Deborah, with one 15-minute session, I said, "Okay, now that I'm done, I'm going to go to this other eye." He opened up his eyes and he said, "Wait a minute. I got my color back." Now, the doctor said it will not get better, but it may not get worse. It's really not a great news about your eyesight. So literally he opened up his eyes. He saw color. He said, "Jerry, not only do I see color, I see it in HD." And we were all so happy. And to this day, he's, his grandson now is 14 years old. And he was able, now his peripheral was damaged and we can't get that back. But the fact that he now is able to see full color, no glasses, he's living his life in full vision. And I told Scott, at this point, I'll find someone to do marketing. I'll find someone to do accounting. I want to be a part of the healing journey of what we do for not just my brother, but for thousands that we've seen. And we hear incredible testimonies, which you'll share today, Deborah, on the incredible way that voltage, giving the body what it needs to heal itself, can really reverse a lot of things and give the energy that you need. So that's my story, and I'm sticking.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Thanks, Jerry. So just to kind of give everyone a little bit of a roadmap for today, we have so many device owners. We've also got a bunch of people who have other devices but are interested in learning how they might be complemented with what we do and have. And then we've got some people who looks like they're just kind of diving into this, putting their toe in, which is awesome. We're going to get to all of this. And I will tell you that we've got a very special guest, different from our webinar back in January. We've got a very special guest who's going to be with us at the end of the session and is going to be assisting us with our Q&A, as well as we're going to be learning some more from her. And so make sure that you stay to the end, because you definitely want to do that. And I just want to remind everyone who's a device owner, and for anyone who is thinking about this, because obviously it can be daunting to be like, oh, there's this whole new branch of medicine and technology that we're not aware of. And this is obviously something that is not talked about in like common medical paradigm. And I just want to say, like, Senergy is here to help you. We have an extensive education center, which goes into how you use your device and all that kind of stuff. So one of our big questions is always like, oh gosh, we got this thing. Now what do we do? What do we do is that we're here to support you. And we're here along your entire journey to help, make sure that this device and our practices are going to work with your lifestyle. So just wanted to say that off the bat. So again, we've got a Q&A at the end. We also have this really exciting thing that we're also going to announce at the end. We've got a new referral program. So if you are a device owner and you have a friend, family member, your next door neighbor that you're like, hey, I really think that so-and-so would benefit from this. Number one, we would request that you talk to them about it and they give permission to share their information with us. But we've got a really cool referral program that we're going to share. So that way you can get a little bit of a compensation for that. And, our mission at Senergy is really to just continue we want everyone to have one of these devices. We think in your home, we think that it is something that can save people thousands and thousands of dollars. It saves people's lives. And we've seen it time and time again. And we're going to see a lot of that in our presentation today. So we're going to go into that later.
Well, before we start, Deborah, I love seeing that I have a Tesla, I have a Pulse. Mm-hmm. What the important and incredible thing that we've seen for the last 21 years is the concept of stacking. The stacking modality. There is such incredible modalities out there now that support the body. There's also some that you should question in regards to, are they just a piece of the market kind of back where it was fat-free cookies, where everyone all of a sudden made fat-free food? So it's you have to do your due diligence, and that's Senergy Wellness will help you do as well. But it's really inspiring to see how many different things that people own that really support the body. What I love about ours, you said talking about for their home. I just got back from Cabo from a conference, and you talk about taking this with you on your trips, because when you're on vacation, you want to be your best and the ultimate health when you're on vacation, because that's your time to relax. When I see people I was treating people by the poolside who may have twisted their ankle because of the sand, or they fell. I was treating people at the sand. So it's really great to be portable and to take with you, to always have that charging. But no, it's really beautiful to see all these new modalities.
Yeah, and we'll address, we you know, again, we'll have an extensive Q&A session at the end. So if you want to like ask about something specific, like how you use a biocharger, Dennis, like biocharger, pulse PMF, and how it can incorporate with ours, we're going to dive right into that. Yeah. But before we get into that, I want to start us off with a really incredible testimony with someone who had spent thousands and thousands of dollars on different medical practices in order to try and get his life back. And then he discovered us. He talked with Jerry. And so we're going to go ahead and dive into that really quick.
Yeah.
My first introduction to the biomodulator, my pain was down 40% overnight. I come home from that event and people are looking at me like, what happened? Like, I understand that Tony Robbins is great and all, but you're glowing. What is the difference? So I told them, and they're like, yeah, okay. So I start to show it to my family and close friends, and they're all amazed. Some of them that have also been going through chronic conditions, they have transformed their lives. I was using it on my brother, and he's had this back problem for a long time. And I'm going down his back, and each time it gets really sticky right at that spot that's been hurting him 6 times, 7 times. It's still getting stuck. That 8th time, all of a sudden it releases. And I'm like, all right, did I just feel that, or was it him too? And my buddy who was in the room at the time, he said both of us looked up at him at the same time with shock and awe in our face. And he's like, my vertebrae literally moved back into place. And that was maybe 2 months ago. It's been that way ever since. So it's been absolutely incredible.
That's really amazing.
I know.
We love Alex. We love it. And what's crazy is that, you know, when I first met him at the, and we've been blessed to travel with Tony Robbins at his conferences, and really just, you know, he said, I just want you to help my community. And we go to these conferences, we have booths, and we kind of do a demonstration of our devices. And he was one that he spoke to Scott first, you know, inside the room of the event. And he goes, oh, you got to go see our Senergy booth. Jerry and David will take care of you. He came, and you can tell this hesitant, like, okay, I've seen this. Like you said, I've spent money, nothing's helped. And once we started talking, he started making the connections. I'm like, well, that's true. And you know, when you hear something that's true, you feel it. I feel that that's just kind of like that aha moment. But even after he left, he goes, okay, well, thanks so much. I'll see you later. He literally texts me the next morning and says, dude, what did you do? And from then on, he's his mom, his dad, his brothers, his best friend, which we also is a device owner as well. So it's been just absolutely enlightening and inspiration to have that kind of reaction to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what we're going to do to start off is we're going to actually have a little bit of a flashback here. Dr. Amy Marshall is someone who she was live with us on our webinar in January. And she really dives into the science and the importance of cellular voltage with cells, because the key thing here, and the key thing that we're going to talk about, is the fact that voltage is kind of our baseline. That is our foundation. And if we don't have the proper voltage level in our cells, then our body cannot heal itself. And so we're just going to play the replay from January of Amy's little piece, and you'll see Jerry's lovely face. You will also see Scott Tennant, our CEO's face, because he was a part of that. And so he's going to be a part of the recording, and then we're going to circle back. But I just want to introduce Amy really quick, because if you all don't know Amy, she's absolutely incredible. She has, been studying, like, how long has she been a practitioner, Jerry? Like, just so many years.
Many years. And her resume is
years. Yeah. Her resume is that she has a doctorate in nursing practice. She is a nurse practitioner. She's an integrative medicine, holistic health. She does bioidentical hormone therapy. She does biofield tuning. She does low dose immunotherapy. Obviously, she does frequency medicine, which we kind of fall under. She does live blood cell analysis, pendulum dowsing. She's also an author, a researcher, and a U.S. Army Force retired captain. So she's done so many things. She's got such an extensive background, and we're really honored that she is such a advocate for Senergy and the devices. And if you're interested in working with Amy after you listen to this presentation, we're just going to put her email in the chat, and you can just reach out to her. And she's an incredible person to work with. So we're just going to present that. And so it's just about 15 minutes where we're going to learn from Amy, and then we'll circle back here and keep going.
I'm charging. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go, everyone.
Hey, Jerry. It's good to be with you as usual. If I may, I'd like to share my first experience with the biomodulator and transducer. And Barbara Evans showed me this 23 years ago. It was my first introduction to the biomodulator. I was trying to get on a plane in a couple of days to go see my grandmother, who was ill at the time. And I had an 18-month-old with an ear infection. And there's no way I was going to put this baby on a plane because she was in misery. And so Barbara Evans did a couple of treatments with the biomodulator at that time. And within about an hour, I would say her fever went down and she was completely free of pain. And we were able to get on a plane and go see my grandmother. So that was my first introduction to the biomodulator. And I was like, what's this? I need to investigate this. So that's how long I've known the product themselves and the people who are behind them, and they stand by their word. So a little bit about me. I am a nurse practitioner. I have my doctorate in thyroid studies. Therefore, I'm a DNP, a doctor of nursing practice. I do have my own practice here in Dallas, Texas. I am a retired captain in the United States Air Force Reserve with a MASH unit that I was a surgical nurse attached to. I got an F-16 ride. It was really fun. But my energy medicine has become more of the forefront of my practice. And I use the biomodulator and transducer in my energy work because I have found that anything that helps me accelerate healing for the patient and I can work quicker through some of the issues that they're having, I'll take it. So for me, the biomodulator is used on the patient, but also to help me in my energy work. Because when the polarities are corrected, which is a whole nother topic, when the polarities are corrected, it's much easier for me to do my work on the patient that's in front of me. It's been very fascinating to experience that. So my personal healing journey started about 17 years ago at the birth of my third child, when I lost consciousness with lack of blood flow and with an emergency C-section that almost took both of us. And they wanted to put me on Prozac because I wasn't feeling well. And I knew right away, it's like, this isn't the system for me. So I went completely integrative medicine. As a matter of fact, as much natural medicine as I could from that moment on. I also had an experience from a yellow fever vaccine where I almost died. I seem to have a lot of almost dying scenarios in my life now that I'm saying it out loud. I almost died from a vaccine. In my car, I passed out in San Antonio, Texas in the Air Force, and they didn't find me for hours. So I just have a unique experience. If I have a broken leg or a burn, please take me to Parkland Hospital because that's the best of the best. But as far as chronic disease, which is what we're talking about today, Western medicine doesn't do so great. So my C-section scar basically is what took me out. So scars are a whole nother issue that we need to address in patients because it literally blocked the energy flow going to my breast tissue, my thyroid, my parathyroid, and even the frontal lobe of my brain and my frontal sinuses. So I began to have sinus infections all the time. My brain sort of shut off. And so I began to incorporate the biomodulator transducer at that time to slowly kind of claw my way back. And then I learned about scar treatment and things like that. And then I began to feel better using natural medicines and herbs and things like that with the biomodulator transducer. So I have a lot of experience with this technology. We've talked about kind of this electricity piece or electromagnetic or what the biomodulator delivers as frequency or energy. So we are electrical beings. We are magnetic beings. And our body is constantly repairing itself. Imagine that. It's constantly rebuilding. So for example, the liver rebuilds itself within 6 to 8 weeks. The nervous system, the brain may take a year, a little bit longer. And the stomach lining is 6 weeks. The layer of the cornea of the eye is 3 days. So the body has its own way and pathways of rebuilding, of repairing. But the problem is when we don't have enough voltage and raw materials to rebuild, it makes it very difficult for the cells to repair. And a principle of repair is something that I like to touch on and kind of, red flag it, is that when we need to be well, we need a higher amount of voltage than it takes to maintain over a sustained period of time to heal. So if someone is chronically ill and they're fatigued and they're tired and all of their bucket systems are drained, where are they going to get the energy to draw from over a long period of time, a higher amount of it, I might add, to use that electricity and that voltage to heal the cells? That is the problem. And that's where chronic disease comes in, is that we don't have enough resources within our physical body to raise the voltage long enough to allow these cells to heal. So that's one principle to remember. The other principles are to remember that we need to get the stuff out of the way. So scars, dental, emotions, toxins, infections, heavy metals, and things like that, that are all in the way of our healing. So with that principle of voltage that we need to repair and maintain, thinking about that, we need to find those ways of adding voltage to the body. So the biomodulator, like I said, and the transducer is outside the body, bringing that energy in. So our body doesn't have to come up with that from somewhere when it's already spent. Or the biomodulator is preventing you from dropping a voltage over a long period of time. It's helping to sustain you at a higher voltage. And when we correct our polarities with the transducer, that's also helping the energy flow through those acupuncture meridians correctly, so that the energy can then go from the meridians to the muscle battery packs, which is holding the charge for you, and then distributing it to the organ systems for repair, recharge, and rebuilding. So when we don't have enough voltage, that's when the chronic disease sets in, period. So we need some things in place when we bring it down to the cellular level. What does a cell need to do its job well? We need waste products out, we need rebuilding products in, and we need the energy by which to do that. So all of those things in the microcosm of a cell can be extrapolated to the macrocosm of the body. So thinking of that cellular structure, it makes it a little bit easier to wrap our heads around what really needs to be done here for me to get well and stay well, or to not be sick, not have those things that my parents had or a friend had. Those are always on my mind and always on everybody's mind. Like, how are we going to maintain our brain health? We're exposed to so much in the air, in the water, in the food. We're constantly being bombarded by these toxins, by infections. So that's a principle that we all need to keep in our mind and in our awareness as we're moving throughout the cabin. And like Scott said, what are we thinking? What are we saying? Who are we spending our time with? Are we getting outside in nature, which is a beautiful recharge in and of itself? Who are we connected with? Are there work environments that are toxic? Those are all things that are presently influencing your system. So a second way that we can talk about something quick here that's easy to implement is red light therapy. And red light therapy is a way of actually vasodilation, which opens up the vasculature of the body, allowing those extra red blood cells to get to the organ systems to deliver some oxygenation. Super easy, especially when, like, if you have a location like an elbow or a knee or a belly that's located, you can use that in combination with the biomodulator transducer as well and it's easy to apply, and keep going. It's such an easy implementation of recharge and repair. That is one easy implementation for everybody. And our daily toxic load, one of the things that I'm going to go into a little bit more deeply right here is emotions. I tend to have this, I got dubbed like the emotion queen. I don't know what happened there, but I've just had a sequence of events in my life where I became very aware of subtle energies. And, through my work with biogeometry and and applications of corrections of EMF and blah, blah, blah. I began to learn and understand and apply those learnings to what is affecting the body and affecting those organ systems to cause pain, suffering, fatigue, whatever the symptom is. So, what I've learned, and this is my experience over the last decade, is that I'm going to give you an example so we can wrap our head around it, because we're talking about intangible things. We can't feel or see them. So I'm going to use an example. So let's say that I was in a car accident at 5 years old, and I was going around a specific curve in my town, and I remember it. And let's say it was even worse, a loved one died. And from that moment on, I'm going to be thinking about that, and my subconscious mind has made a record. What also has happened is we have a memory of that experience, and we can go back to that memory. And then we have the emotional charge attached to the memory, the emotional charge and the mental stress of that experience. So what happens is, as time moves on, we move forward in time, but our subconscious mind is like, whoa, this still just happened. And it can't compute that time has moved on. And so as this is moving backwards in our timeline, and we're here in present time, our subconscious mind remembers that and knows that we need to satisfy this energetic charge because it's part of our light. So we literally are feeding old energetic charges that don't serve us anymore. So imagine that you lost someone in an accident like that. And imagine that you lost someone else when you were a teenager, and then you lost someone else and you were 20, and then you lost someone. That amount of loss, I can guarantee you, is going to show up in your heart circuit. And that's when the apple cart gets tipped over and symptoms show up. You may have, arrhythmias and things like that. You may have hypertrophy of the left ventricle, that where the heart is enlarged because it has to work so hard. So given that all to say that what I have found to be helpful is to use scalar energy of sound and my transducer when I am finding these moments in time that everybody's experienced, whether they are in this life with them or even generational, because generation comes through just like hair color and eye color. We also get the wisdom and the traumas sometimes too. So we always go back and address generational traumas when they show up. So what I've learned to find and release is these moments through sound. And I like to use sound because the patient that's on my table can actually hear it. And so the intangible for once becomes tangible. They can hear it. They can hear what it sounds like, what depression sounds like, what fear and anxiety sounds like, what loss sounds like, what shame and guilt sounds like. And then they can hear it clear. And it's really cool. So back to the experience of the charge attached to the memory. So my goal is to go find these moments in time and essentially tease them apart and transmute the emotional charge into neutrality. So the emotional charge falls away and then comes back to the body. And then all you're left with is a memory. And a memory is neutral. So you're driving around that car again, in your town, and you're like, oh, there's the place I had my wreck. Instead of heart palpitations, shortness of breath, sweaty palms, gripping the steering wheel, you're just at a place of peace. So what I've learned from this so far, there's a couple of beautiful benefits. The first benefit is an awareness. People become aware of what they've been holding and how it is draining their organ systems and therefore symptoms showing up. So like I mentioned, the heart, that would be a symptom. A left knee could be a symptom. Neck pain could be a symptom of not speaking your truth. So when we relieve these energetic charges, the first one is awareness. We become aware. We walk in higher consciousness. We see things that we may not have seen before, and we act differently. The second thing that happens is this beautiful space of neutrality that comes on board. So if you were scared to go to school and we found that, we shift it, and the person is off to med school. I had that happen one time. You know, the guy goes back to his family reunion that he refused to go to for 25 years. Why? Because we healed his heart. So he shows up to his family. These are deep things. These are soul deep things. These are things that cause regret at the end of the life, you know. And the last one is the energy that is coming back to the body to nourish those organ systems, our vital life force, our chi, our prana, whatever you want to call it, our light. Our light is coming back to wholeness. And that is supporting the energy systems and for life, for vitality. So those are the ways that I feel are the powerful repercussions and blessings of this work. So that is my take on the emotions and how they drain us of our systems.
And I don't think people are aware how much it does drain. You know, for example, I had a personal session with Amy, and she brought up a memory that happened to me when I was 13. And she said, "What happened to you at 13?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I just wasn't a memory for me." And then when she cleared it, I went home and I went, okay, I'm going to figure out what year it was. When I figured out the year, that memory, instead of it being traumatic, because it was a traumatic experience that I had with my dad, it literally just came up as a memory. And then you said, "Do you have lower left side back pain?" I'm like, "I have, like the last few years, and I can't get rid of it." She's like, "Don't be surprised if you don't feel like within 3 to 5 days." Literally within 3 days, my back pain was gone, associated with that. And then not only at that point, again, just because I didn't remember it, my relationship with my father changed automatically to where there was no more fear. There was no more shame from the experience I had with my dad, because you cleared it. And I remember that exact moment. So where it's just now a memory. It's no longer a trigger. And so that when I went, okay, we got to do like a quarterly check with our emotions and making sure that I get cleared up. But it's really a beautiful process. And I know that you have helped many of our friends, many of our family members as well. And if people want to find you, where would they be able to find you to get more information?
Yeah, so dramymarshall.com. And then my email is dramymarshall@gmail.com. Super easy.
Yeah. And she does this plus so many more other modalities. And now you also can do telemedicine appointments for those who can travel to Dallas. What are some of those appointments that people can do?
Yeah, so I've got live blood cell analysis up and running where we can actually look at the blood like running live, and you can see heavy metal toxins, you can see adrenal stress, you can see organisms and candida, and then we put protocols in place, and then we can come back and recheck, and you don't have to come in. You can send your blood in to me and we can do it no problem. And, you know, I've got courses coming up. Everything's going to be uploaded onto the website by the end of March. And retreats and things like that, places where I can serve, you know, best. And, you know, I do regular nurse practitioner stuff too, but with the integrative medicine slant for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're truly honored and blessed to have you on our team. Scott, did you have anything that you want to mention?
Yes. Can you touch briefly on detoxing?
Oh, detox is the word of the hour. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you can really see heavy metal toxicity in your blood. And this is going to be, I tell people, it's like, you're not doing a liver gallbladder cleanse and a parasite cleanse one time and think you're done. We actually are now in an environment, we're in an advanced age of toxins. So we need to be thinking about detox as for the rest of our life, unless something magical changes. So and I have my oligo scan where I can see through spectrophotometry the heavy metals in people's body, and it's measured and it's profound. If you live in a city, and even if you don't live in a city, if you were born from a woman who had heavy metal toxins, you're going to have heavy metal toxins. So there are ways like EDTA, glutathione. There's, you know, well, I can't say a few of them, but you know what I mean? There's ways that we can implement strategies over a long period of time, and you can go as fast as the body can handle it. You cannot push the body faster than it can handle. And when people are really sick, you have to go really slow. So, you know, there's Epsom salt baths. There's just all kinds of things that we have access to. Baking soda enemas. There's things we can do to begin to offload this slowly so the body can repair. Because right now, I think that and emotions are probably the two biggest issues that we're all facing. We see loved ones facing after injections that we've all had to deal with on some level, where there have been issues. And so the blood needs to be detoxed. The blood needs to be thinned, you know, so that they can be healthy and well. So we've got our workout cut out for us. And I believe that integrative medicine will rise and shine because we are now needed more than absolutely ever.
Yeah. And then more people are open.
Yes.
We're open to it as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate
Amy, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for talking to us, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, Dr. Amy.
Hey.
That conversation never gets old, you know. And another thing about toxins, and I'll put it here in the chat, that oligo scan that she's talking about is, you know, we get blood tests and we get urine tests to check out our metals, right? Our metal levels. Well, this oligo scan is truly is what is the metal in our cells. So I'm going to put a link here in the comments that if you're looking for a practitioner that has an oligo scan, you want to know now, then you can go and find your nearest practitioner. One thing I'll share with that is I had some work done with Dr. Falmo. He was looking at my toxins and he had realized that I had really high level of mercury. And he said, Jerry, do you have mercury fillings? Like, no. He goes, do you eat a lot of raw fish? I'm like, no, not really. So like, okay, well, we need to come up with a detox antidote for you. I was like, okay, great. So it was real confusing why I had high levels of mercury. Then I go see Amy in the same session about my 13-year-old self. And then she says, Jerry, do you have high levels of mercury? And again, I hadn't even shared my information with her yet. And I said, well, Dr. Chase just told me I did. She goes, well, what do you think that's contributed to? So again, in that emotional clearing process, she had determined that 4 generations down, we know that trauma passes through the DNA. 4 generations down on my dad's side, there was something that happened that was traumatic that resulted in anger and frustration. Well, the frequency of anger and frustration is mercury. So that's where I was getting my mercury, and they were really high levels. So with the help of Amy clearing that traumatic event 4 generations down, and Dr. Falmo helping me with the antidote to lower my mercuries, within 8 months, I started having my mercury levels go down because that emotional release was already gone. That frequency has been changed. So, you know, we talk about how when we get to a certain stage in life and we've been diagnosed with something, that's when we go look for help. Well, we know that voltage is the baseline to everybody in health. That's why we're here today. So if you have someone that's younger, even like the age of 40, I do believe is when your body starts slowing down the creation of stuff to best support the body. But if you have someone young, you know, 7, 10, 20, when you start seeing all these little things that are not right, instead of just, you know, wondering, well, maybe they need therapy, but dig down to the root cause of things. So that way they can go ahead and start implementing the health that they need and the voltage that they need. So don't wait till you get sick. Don't wait till you get a diagnosis. Get the basic voltage in your body. So that way your body's always representing the voltage need as well. So it's just fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I just want to, again, thanks people who are shouting out in the comments. Like, I really appreciate it. We love seeing the interaction. And Reverend Jody, I love that you're such a huge fan of Amy. We are too. And so it's really great to like have, you know, our love just shared with everyone. So let's talk now about the proof, because here's the thing is like, we can talk all day long and share. I have been doing, you know, dozens of testimonies with people. Those are the testimonies that we're seeing today that we have up on our social media. We're just continuing to share other people's stories that we're just so excited to share. But I think that sometimes it's still really important to like see the physical proof. Like, let's see the physical change in someone's body. And how their life can be completely transformed with these devices. And obviously, you know, I'm going to share a little presentation that I've put together. But before we do that, I'm going to share one more testimony right now. And this is with Rob. And so Rob is someone who, Alex, the first testimony that we saw, he went to his friend Rob because Rob had Lyme's disease. And this is something, you know, Lyme's disease is something that people like they're told by doctors, like there's no real, you know, it's just something that you're going to get through. Like you'll just get to the other side of Lyme's disease. But oftentimes it completely disrupts people's lives. It makes them lethargic and unable to work and so many things. And this was Rob. Rob is a nurse as well. And he's been working in the medical field for a very long time. Very like high level thinker, high level in the medical field. and he had Lyme's disease, and it completely took him out of commission. He couldn't work. He had to give up all of his patients. And Alex went to him and was like, hey, I just had my life transformed. I think you need to try this. And then Rob did. So I'm just going to share Rob's story and then just a little clip from it. And then we're going to, show some proof because I think that that's really important.
I devoted my life to finding out what was wrong with me. Different treatments, different doctors, different specialists, everything. I went down the rabbit hole of modern medicine. And the truth is, I gave it my best shot. I tried everything that modern medicine offered, with the exception of taking habit-forming drugs. And I did not get any relief until this product came into my life. So that's the honest to God truth. It was an easy decision for me after the road that I had already walked. Just modern medicine failed me in a way. You know, I could see the benefits, of course, but with my unique situation that I was in, it didn't do what I'd hoped it would. Truly, this has been a godsend for me, and I've just seen so much healing, and it makes me question like what I've done the last decade of being a nurse. This is a healing product.
Yeah, what I meant to say is that, you know, these guys are in their 30s. They're in their 30s. And I remember when I spoke to Rob, he would go to the chiropractor multiple times a month to try to get relief. And ever since he's had our device, he's not gone once to the chiropractor as well. And, you know, I can see maybe when you get to be my age, I'll be 60 next month, but it's so easy for us to excuse that, oh, it's just I'm getting old. And we just making excuses and just accepting the way of life of pain for us. And it's so not needed. It's so not the best thing to do. Yeah. So when I see these two young guys who have been suffered through a lot and they still have young children, like Alex has very young children yet to raise. And I know this has sparked Rob a whole new way of thinking in his career. I do believe he's going into naturopathic studies as well now. So the amount of transformation by just dealing with the root cause and the relief from that has just been absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah. Absolutely. All righty. So we're gonna I'm gonna share this little presentation that I've put together, everyone. First of all, I'm gonna say trigger warning. There are some graphic images that we're going to share because I'm just going to, these are photos that have been sent in to us from our clients and people who have shown in perfect photographic evidence how they have used the device in order to increase their healing, heal much faster. And so we're just going to share. So the first one here, again, sorry about the graphic here, but this is someone who had a bicycle accident. He went over the handlebars, 73-year-old man. He has a device, and so he immediately took out his transducer and connected it with a biomodulator, had it on 10/8, and just shone it at his face for about 15-20 minutes. And the next day, the inflammation completely started to decrease. 3 days later, I mean, he looks like he's, like this is weeks later. And 1 week later, I mean, he's almost completely healed. And this is the kind of stuff that we see all the time. And it's just really incredible to see how, the devices can transform. And again, this comes back to what you were saying before about voltage, about the fact that if our cells have the voltage that they need in order to repair, in order to create new and healthy cells, then the body can continue to recover. And this is just some proof. I've got some, and I'm going to also share a link in the chat to our scientific research page, because we always have people who want to, dive into this more. So we've got tons of white pages, studies, so many things that we have done where doctors have used the devices before and can show exactly what has happened before and after therapy. So this is someone who had left neck and left shoulder pain. They did autonomic nervous system reset and the biomodulator right on that area. And so after that nerve biostimulation, the left clavicle snapped into place. And this is something we're actually also going to hear in a testimony later about how our spines just realign. And so that's really, really incredible. This is one of our original before and after photos. This is someone who she has, I'm not even going to try to say the name of this condition. Nope, not going to do it. And so this is someone who basically she explains in her testimony about how her feet stopped sweating. They stopped having the ability to sweat. And so sweat was starting to collect underneath her skin. This is something that then it started to cause lots of irritation. It started to cause inflammation. This is something that oftentimes doctors recommend amputation because it causes so much pain to just walk or anything like that. She saw us at a conference, and someone went and treated her feet for just 2 minutes, and then she went and listened to the speaker, and then so she got treated for 2 minutes, went and watched the speaker, came back to the booth afterwards, and her feet were already starting to heal themselves. We're already starting to decrease that pain and inflammation as the voltage was, increased in those in the cells of the feet. And this is actually 3 days later. So after she ended up getting a device so she could use it at home. And 3 days later, her feet are completely different, completely healed, which is, truly incredible. This also, so we've got two more x-rays here. Again, we've got people who they have misalignment of the spine, misalignment of your shoulder blades, and just by resetting the autonomic nervous system, you're actually able to realign everything. And that, just like when it clicks everything into place, it allows your body to fix itself. And I know that, Jerry, you've seen that before when you've treated people at conferences and their back pain goes away. They suddenly, walk straighter or are taller, and it's just
they raise their hands after an injury. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And all of that, is stuff that, again, we would teach you about how to do all of this in order to help you. Now, this is another one that's an original. This is from one of our speakers, Dr. Nathan Bryan. His son was in an ATV accident. Really awful image there over on the left. And this is something where doctors originally said that he was going to lose functionality in his foot. They wanted to do many, many surgeries in order to try and get back the functionality of the foot. And Nathan Bryan immediately started putting the biotransducer on his son's foot. And he only had needed one surgery, and 6 weeks later, his foot was completely healed, and he had no loss of function. So it's just really incredible to see how that, works there. And so, yeah, I'm gonna put something in the chat so that you can see exactly where, if you want to dive into this more, feel free to go check that out. So we've seen the proof. Now I want to dive into the science behind it, because there's, we can talk about this all day long as far as the proof, but it's also really important to have some information from someone who actually can say, this is why it's working. This is why the biomodulator works. This is why the biotransducer works. And we have a really incredible someone who presented also back in January, Danielle Palmer. She is a practitioner and a frequency specialist in Orange County, California. And she's called the Frequency Specialist on Instagram if you want to follow her. She's got some really incredible content, but she is going to dive into exactly why the devices work. Jerry, is there anything you want to say before we jump into Danielle's?
No, I think she's fantastic. She makes it such a layman's terms for everyone to understand. So let's roll.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's do this.
My name is Danielle Palmer. I have been in the frequency healing field for about 15 years now. I studied under Dr. Alexander Ravenko, one of the creators of the SkinR device, which was actually the predecessor of the biomodulator. I've studied energy medicine and bioresonance, as well as neuromuscular therapy and advanced neuromuscular therapy. And I'm happy to talk to you today about how the biomodulator works and why microcurrent and frequency are so beneficial for you. Okay, so first things first. One of the most important things for us to understand is that we are the most amazing computer in the world. But if that computer doesn't have power, nothing works. So microcurrent is the same type of electricity that our body uses. Now, oftentimes people refer to these devices as a tens unit, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So microcurrent caps itself out at a safe level for the body where it's not going to deplete any sort of ATP production. Tens units oftentimes run about 1,000 times stronger of electricity, and that actually tends to deplete ATP production, adenosine triphosphate, which is the fuel of all of our cells. So that is why these devices are amazing electron donors. So number one, it's giving you energy, and it's the exact same electricity that your body already uses, so it's nothing harmful. Number two, we use frequency. So why is frequency so important? Well, frequency is everything. Every single function, every single structure in the body correlates to specific frequencies. And frequency is basically information. So we have the energy, and now we're putting new information and supportive information for our system to function properly. Now, the biomodulator has basically thrown in all of these frequencies that are very beneficial for specific structures and functions, most of which are the various circuits, the meridians, but also that harmonization, the 783 harmonics for polarity. So why is polarity important? Well, we have to take a charge. And essentially, if you think of two batteries, okay, so let's say you have two batteries stacked on top of each other. Well, if one battery is stacked the wrong way, it's not going to receive that charge. And that's where scalar comes in. So what is scalar? So scalar happens naturally in the world, but it's one of the most still yet to be fully understood waves and entities out there in physics. So essentially how you create a scalar field is when you have two opposing vortices. So let's say we have a positive polarity and a negative polarity. When they meet, they cancel each other out, and that creates almost this vacuum. So scalar by itself, it's kind of like restarting the computer. Sometimes that's all you need. There's a lot of other companies out there, and they have these whole rooms full of scalar. Well, essentially what that's doing is it's pausing things. It's allowing all your cells to restart. But what's even more impactful, I think, than that is when you can stack that scalar with new information. So you're not only restarting the computer, you're restarting the computer and you're installing new software. And that's what the biomodulator and transducer does. So there's many other devices out there that use scalar energy. And the reason why me as a practitioner, I like working with this device so much is because I can drive these healing frequencies deep into the tissues. The reason for that is because scalar permeates through everything. It's a flat wave, also called a zero-point field. So essentially, scalar energy, it can't be stopped. You can put a sheet of metal in front of it, it's going to go right through it. Now, what we do in this device essentially is we're stacking these healing frequencies onto the scalar, and that scalar becomes the delivery system. So whereas if I'm working with the device, the electricity is that delivery system. When I'm working with the scalar part of it, that becomes the delivery. And that's where we can do things like affecting the brain. I just had a patient yesterday with a glioblastoma who, their spatial awareness was not very good. We did a spatial awareness test. I was able to use some of the frequencies to enhance different lobes of the brain, and suddenly things were clicked in. And I love seeing things like that because as a practitioner, nothing gives me more joy than to see somebody see a change after just a couple of minutes. So as a practitioner, let's talk through the actual device. Okay, so why do I use this device? So when you get injured, your body actually emits something called a wound current. And that is the thing that actually drives all of those healing mechanisms of the body towards that point. So applying microcurrent and frequency, it's actually in some studies have been shown to essentially mitigate the entire inflammatory process if you can get to it within the first 4 to 6 hours of an injury. So let's say you fall down the stairs, you sprain your ankle. If you can get to that injury quickly, there are studies out there that show that you can essentially mitigate the majority of that inflammatory process. Because if you think about it, the actual injury is just a very, very small point. But what happens is in order for the body to protect that area, everything in that area gets inflamed. Well, that creates a bigger problem for the body to deal with, right? So if we can mitigate that, it just makes it a tiny problem. And that's why I love having this tool on hand every single day, because I work on people, 8 to 10 hours a day. If I hurt myself, guess what the first thing that I'm going to do is pull out my device. All right, so understanding frequency, let's talk about resonance for a second. So imagine, if you will, you had 2 tuning forks, okay? So you have an A and a D. Well, if you hit the A, nothing's going to happen over here with the D. However, if you had an A and an A, they're going to both start to vibrate if you hit one. The reason for that is because of resonance. So every single structure, every single function correlates with very specific frequencies. And when we're able to deliver those frequencies, essentially it's like a reminder for the body, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's kind of guiding it back to homeostasis, if you will. Now, one of the things that I'm most excited about coming up is this next version of the transducer. And the reason for that is because it's going to include PEMF. Now, for those who don't know what PEMF is, it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but pulsed electromagnetic field. It's amazing for you, and here's why. So in order to create an electromagnetic field, or pulsed electromagnetic field, let's say, essentially what you have to do is you have to have electricity oscillating in a circuit, right? So you have, let's say, a copper wire, and you have the electricity going around in a spiral. Well, what that does in that movement of electricity, that creates magnetic waves. Now, for you in your body, what PEMF does is essentially it's charging your cells, to put it very, very plainly. So it's actually delivering voltage. It's able to get your cells to separate, create more space so that they can allow more oxygen, more nutrient absorption. That membrane around the cell will get a little easier to permeate. So PEMF by itself is an incredible tool to increase your voltage. Well, now you can harmonize the body by using specific frequencies. You can give it voltage with just the PEMF, and you can repolarize with scalar. So I'm very excited about this next edition. So one of the things in my career that I really focus on is ensuring that I'm using and promoting the best of the best. Now, there's a lot of devices out there that use microcurrent. There's a lot of devices out there that are frequency devices. There's different ones that are using scalar. Now, this device is different. There's been years and years and years of research behind it. The people behind the engineering that you're hearing from as well, they know what they're doing. They're incredibly brilliant. They've put together an amazing product. It's solid. It's been on the market for 30 years at this point. And interestingly enough, biomodulator is the reason why other devices were able to even get FDA approved here in the United States. So avoid the noise on the market. There's a lot of things out there. I always stick with the tried and true. And I think that the biomodulator is one of the most tried and true devices out there.
Oh, she's so awesome. She's so awesome. And she just puts it in simple terms, and one of the things as a practitioner, because, first we started coming out as a device that people would buy at home, and a lot of our calls in the very beginning were stage 4, kidney failure, renal failure. There was a lot of chronic disease that people were just looking for a lifeline, right? Their only hope. And what we've learned now that the paradigm is now shifted to practitioners embracing this technology and allowing to help their patients, and to see someone as young and brilliant as Danielle to embrace this and do the research. She is a researcher by heart, and she does not do anything unless she's proven every single thing about every study that she does. So very grateful for her. And then just like you were talking about, Deborah, that 72-year-old gentleman who was in a car accident. Well, if you buy this specifically for an ailment, say that you're treating it for, you're helping support your body with cancer, or you're dealing with ALS, I say this is your doc in a box. If something happens in your house, rather spider bite, bug bites, pain, and you tripped over a shelf and, all this kind of stuff, this is instant doc therapy. And we've seen the photos from that gentleman to that kid with the foot. It is absolutely revolutionary that the engineers that have developed this for us has really come the pathway of healing in regards to voltage. I think someone had asked, I need help with this. Get voltage in. And Amy did talk about the 5 factors as to what leads to chronic disease, which is really important to dive into. But more importantly is get the body the voltage that it needs now, because it's got a whole other body to deal with, body to support. So that's probably the message that I love that these practitioners are giving us today.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk more about that in a minute.
And the new transducer will reveal later.
Right, when we bring in our special guest. But before that, let's bring in our CEO, Scott Tennant, because he is going to give us a very special little sneak peek at this new transducer that that Danielle was talking about. So, Scotty, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Scott.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah. Why don't you take it away, Scott? I think that, this is something that has been in development for quite some time. And, we released a video last week where you did share it. And you also talked about the intensive testing process that we're going through, because we really stand behind our products and want to make sure that they are absolutely, top notch before they enter the market. That's really, really important for us. And so, but go ahead, take it away, Scott. I think everyone's excited to see what you've got.
Awesome. So this is what we've been waiting on. So this has taken months and months to create. This is the new Senergy Biotransducer Crystal Wave Pro. As you can tell, the red light therapy is here. It's a nice solid beam. Absolutely wonderful thing. I've had it on the whole time here pointing at me, because I have a little bit of allergies, so we've had a ton of pollen around here. So this is keeping me charged up as we speak. So as you can see, it has been ruggedized. We've had people like the military ask us, please ruggedize this. We made it hexagon shaped because it fits exactly in your hand. If you take your hand like this, it looks like a hexagon. So it actually fits really well in your hand. It actually has slight little ribs in it, so it actually can hold on to it. So it makes a nice grip. It will not roll off of a table. It's also been ruggedized, so it actually is being drop tested as we speak. This week and next week, it's going through validation and verification in an ISO created lab, so that way it is certified by the government that it's safety tested. So that will be happening this next week. It was designed by 5 engineers that we've worked extensively with to create this over the past 5 or 6 months. And they just came out with an incredible product. So first we have a red light therapy here. I'm going to show you this. We actually have a blue light therapy. So red light therapy is something that is for pain and inflammation. You can look at red light therapy as it adds to something. So when you put red light therapy with something, it adds 2. So it adds voltage in. Red light therapy goes in fairly deep into the skin. It's the deepest color light therapy that goes into the skin or into the body. Like Danielle said, this is PEMF and scalar at the same time. So it's a modified scalar wave. The blue light therapy is FDA indicated for acne vulgaris. So this is something that treats a lower level thickness into the skin. It basically subtracts something. So like acne is getting rid of something that is in the skin and we want to go out. So when you choose your frequencies, you can choose a different color, red, or you can choose blue. If you want to add to something and treat deep, red. If you want to treat something such as acne, it also has pain associated with it, of course, because we've all had those when we were a kid. You can add the blue light. The blue light is about the same intensity as what you get from the screens from your TV. It's also the same thing that you're getting basically from the sunlight. So you're not really exposed to anything more than what you're already being exposed to.
Yeah.
The red light is actually also the same nanometer as your tail light in your car. So this is not a laser. A laser you should not look directly at. That is coherent light, which means it's focused. This is incoherent light, which means it's defocused. So totally different. These you can look at. The cases are made out of a carbon fiber metal. It is not plastic, so it will actually take a dent. The ends are actually crafted out of molded or actually tumbled aluminum, like a fine watch. So like a Rolex that would be made out of platinum, this is made out of aluminum, so it's a little lighter, but it also will take a dent. If you notice here, you can see then the end, actually like the camera lens, it actually has the name of the device in it. Here on the ends, it has all the safety testing numbers and the patent numbers that it goes with. There's 2 patents that this is under that we have control of. This has been designed with ultimate care. Right now, it is undergoing all the testing, and it will not leave this office until it's Senergy approved. This must pass all safety testing, must be approved again by the ISO engineers, and once it's released, we'll be getting it out to you. So this is our pride and joy. We have been waiting for something just like this. But I want to show you a little trick for device owners. This has an internal battery, so you can use it in an internal battery. You plug it into your devices here. So if you run out of battery power here, then you have a little trick now. You can actually use your biomodulator by turning the device off. And if you'll notice, you can actually see the frequency blinking. And this is infinity, so you can see the frequencies that are coming out the light. This device now is running with the power from your biomodulator, and will do so for about an hour if you have newer batteries.
That's incredible.
This way, in the middle of a therapy, you don't run out of power. This device has the best and fastest charging battery we can possibly put in here. It also has the longest charge of a battery this size. It does not get hot. It does not heat up. Let's see, what else? An hour charge will get you about 4 hours of use in the clinic of this, or in your personal life. What I recommend is that you charge it at lunch. That'll get you about another 4 hours, so you get all the way through the day at the clinic, and charge it again at night. And physicians and therapists, I would take this home with you and treat yourself. Treat yourself and your family, care for the caregiver. You need therapy too. So this is my pride and joy, and I am so, so happy to present it to all of you today.
Yeah. Thanks, Scotty. I think, as Danielle and as Amy both talked about how it's important that we have the red light therapy, that we have the scalar and PMF, but that we also have the frequency. And in addition to that, and that's something that all of our biotransducers have done, and we are continuing to do with this one as well, is that they always connect to our biomodulator, because they do have the ability, and there is some things that you can do with them disconnected, which again, once you're a device owner, or if you're a device owner, we have an extensive education center where we can teach you what you need to do when you like just have the biotransducer by itself. But when you connect those two pieces together, that's where the real magic happens. And so that's where we're able to take the microcurrent frequencies that are in the biomodulator and actually put them into the cells, put them deep into the body by using that scalar energy. And so those two pieces together is really incredible.
Well, speaking of that, Scott, do you want to talk about an incident that happened in your life that you used the biotransducer and the biomodulator in regards to your eyesight?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. 2 Octobers ago, this was 2022, I guess, or 23 actually, October 2023. I was in the Tony Robbins seminar and had been there about 10 hours and noticed a little bit of pressure behind my eye and a headache and some blurry vision, but the lights are very bright. I sit closer to the front and LED lights lit so you can see the people in the audience, and he does a lot of filming. So I thought, it's okay. It didn't seem like anything. It didn't feel like anything more than an ocular migraine, which I've gotten before with lack of sleep, lack of hydration, and a lot of travel. So it seems like that. It did not seem like it was a retinal tear or a retinal hole. But another clue, don't diagnose yourself, by the way. Doctor, don't treat yourself, basically. But I went to sleep, took an aspirin, seemed like everything was fine. Got up the next morning, it seemed like it was still blurry, but not so bad. About 10 o'clock that night, I noticed a black line. That, my friends, is not a good thing. But it's midnight in Hawaii in a very small town. The next morning, I left a message for an ophthalmologist, and he said, get here now, if not sooner. So I did. He said, can you read this letter? I said, I know it's an E because I know a letter is one and it's an E, and I know I cannot read it. He said, can you count my fingers? I said, sort of. When you are in the ophthalmology business, you know that seeing finger count is not a good thing. The next thing beyond that is, can you see movement and light? And it's black. So I knew that was a bad thing. He said, welcome to the world of a monocular patient. So, which most people know that, monocular means you've lost an eye. So he said, why are you not reacting? I said, I think I have something that can help it because this is inflammation and I probably can help that. So I use the devices 6 to 8 times a day, and I treated the side of my eye where the retina was basically had a blockage or a stroke. And I treated here, and in about 6 hours, after treating about every 2 hours, I noticed a pressure release. I feel that is when the blood clot moved. So I continued to do that, and I treated directly into my eye because, again, it's like looking at a tail light. It does bleach out your eye a little bit, like an old flash bulb, a little bit of red. But that lasts for a while, but when you can't see Big E, I think it's okay. Because I treated about every 2 hours, whenever the pain would come up, the pressure, I would treat again. I did that for 32 weeks. After 32 weeks, well, actually, after about 2 weeks, I saw the Big E. After the 3rd week, I could see 2 lines down, which is the 2 letters. So in 32 weeks, I was 20/25 plus 3 letters on the 20/20 line. I was the first person from my retinal surgeon that was following me that had been documented that this happened. So I did take the anti-VEGF shots, which blocks a hormone that stops the eye from growing blood vessels across the back, trying to get the fluid out of your eye. There's not a whole lot of ways to get fluid out of your eye. So the body's going to try to help you. Well, you can't see from out from under a bridge. So I knew stopping the hormone is probably a really good idea. So this was working with the pain and the inflammation, and the anti-VEGF shots actually helped control that hormone, which told it, don't grow these back across the front. So a couple of caveats. Don't diagnose yourself. Number 2, have a physician that watches you and helps you through your processes. Do your own research. Find ways that you know that you are following up. You will not ask yourself the questions that your therapist will to make sure you're on the right track. Very, very, very important. And that's with anything. You may have tools at home, but you need somebody to help you stay guided. When I tell people that I use it 6 to 8 times a day, people say, can I negotiate for twice a day? And this is something I've learned. When you negotiate with yourself on something you know works, you're not negotiating with anybody else but yourself. I treated 6 to 8 times a day whenever the pain started to be a problem. I did not worry if somebody saw me treat myself. I did not worry whether somebody asked a question of me. But I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself. That is something we don't do very well. I am a victim of that. I let other people use me and abuse me through my life, and I did not take care of myself. This was a time to stand up for myself. Care for the caregiver, that's you. Nobody's going to care for you like you. So when people say, can I negotiate for twice a day? I will say I did not negotiate with myself because I wanted to see. And I think that goes as a good thing for your health. Do your homework. Find out what works for you. Stack the things together like we talked about. If it's working, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's about adding to the things that you know that you do. Hydrate, sleep, take care of yourself, meditate, pray. Don't consume things, anything that you put in your body, like we talked about earlier. If you see it, smell it, taste it, feel it, touch it, hear it, you're all consuming it. Things that you put on and in your body are things that toxify you. Change things the best you can to stay well and add them together. When you do that, you have a magic recipe. Our advisors can help you through that. All of us are here to make sure that you get the best care. That's what we're here for. We're your guides to health. So, thank you,
Deborah, do you have any of the photos available to show the befores and after of Scott's eye?
I don't, but
Okay.
it's something that we can send out.
Yeah, we'll send them out. The images are absolutely remarkable. And what's interesting, and it's kind of about my point earlier, he had this happen to him and he tended to it. Imagine if you had this device and you just treated your eyes for 5 minutes, one time a day. Now, I remember this group of ladies that came to our conference, I say probably about 3 years ago. They started treating their eyes. The only thing that they had were reading glasses. Like these are blue light. When I'm in front of a monitor all day long, which I am, I like to have some blue light protective eyes lenses. So, but these 3 women came up to me and they said, we're a little mad, but we're happy. And I said, what's the matter? They treated their eyes 5 minutes a day, like brushing their teeth. Within 3 weeks, all 3 of them did not need to have their reading glasses. They were upset that they were at a 2.0 magnification. Then they had to go to a store to buy a 1.75 and then go to a store 1.5. I said, Jerry, I had to buy 6 pairs of reading glasses before I got to the point where I didn't have to have my reading glasses. But you know what? I'm okay with that. So again, don't wait till you have a diagnosis. Don't wait till something happens. Do now to stay well. So Scotty, what we've learned, and I see you still now, you may not do it 6 times a day, but you are, when you guys' eyes get tired or when you start feeling a little aching, you start treating your eyes. And that's so we can preserve, give the body what it needs to regenerate what is such a beautiful senses of that we own, which is our sight as well. So it's just absolutely incredible story.
Wait, I'll show you. I think
Yes,
I have. Here we go. On the very top is the swelling here. And on the bottom is actually my eye in 32 weeks.
Incredible.
You can see on the top right, that is my retina. And you can see the dark brown spots. We'd always heard if that happens, then the cells back there are dead. And you can see on the bottom, there's one little slight black spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just a little glitch in the matrix that I have in my eye. An exit sign, the X is a little wonky. But that's the difference between not being able to see the big E in 2025, plus a couple of letters on 2020. But
incredible. Scott, Jan Altman asked in the chat, what frequency, because you use the biomodulator and the transducer together, what frequency do you use?
I used VA step. And if I don't have that, I used Infinity in my Plus model. It's just a broad range, broad spectrum therapy session.
Yeah.
So it's buckshot.
And what's interesting about VA step in the Pro model, it's really labeled visual acuity, but one of the things that we empower our clients is that play with the frequency. You'd be surprised what frequency your body really reacts to. My body really reacts to VA step when I'm dealing with pain. You know, when I do a workout and my shoulder's a little sore, yeah, my go-to is 10-8. But if I have the Pro with me, I use the VA step, and I find my body really responds to that. So use and play with all the frequencies and all the microcurrents, because you'd be surprised what our bodies react to. We're all very different. We all know about ourselves. You know, that's why the one cookie cutter healthcare doesn't work. We're all very different. We all react to different. So we empower people to just, experiment, which is what Danielle does, and that's why she's so good about what she does. It's like, oh, I'm going to try this and that. So we empower people to do that. So Scotty, thank you so much. That's really a fantastic testimony from our own, from our cobbler.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Scotty. And I just, something that Scott, shared was about, and something that, Amy talked about is the detox and all of the things that affect our body. And our special guest is going to go into this a little bit more, but there's all of these things that are constantly draining voltage from our cells. And that's why we need to just add that voltage in for that foundational level. And like I said before, Senergy does everything they can. We do a lot of research on different products in order to try and bring the best products possible to the market. And one of the things that we've started doing this year is really finding other products that will help support the body in other ways. And I'm going to put a link in the chat. And so these are all of our, what we call our Senergy Wellness approved products. These are products that support the body in other ways. So they support in making sure that you are detoxing your body correctly, that you are protecting yourself from, radio waves. And, there's so many different ways that we need to try and protect and support and detox our body. And these are some of the ways that we know how to do it. So, thanks, Scott, for being just like a change maker and continuing to fight the good fight and just like try and keep making people well, because, it's your mission, and we're all just very happy to be on this mission with you.
And what does Scott always say? We will be more of an advocate for your health than you are. So we live to that mission, Scott. So thank you for setting that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scotty. So I've got two more little testimonies I want to share. And then this is going to tee us off perfectly for our very special guest. Our first testimony is going to be about migraines. That's something that especially with as we become, stressed adults. And a lot of people have migraines as kids as well. This is, again, something that someone I was talking with last week who's sharing her testimony, and she was saying once a migraine starts, you can do nothing to stop it. You just have to ride it out. And she was sharing about how a couple weeks ago, she had a really bad migraine that was starting, an ocular migraine. She immediately grabbed her device, chugged a glass of water, started putting the transducer connected to the biomodulator on her brain, just on her head. And she just laid down for 5 minutes, closed her eyes, and it completely went away. And she was like, I've never been able to stop a migraine in its tracks before. And so we're going to share that. And then we're going to share another testimony from another doctor, which is so incredible. We've gotten so many testimonies lately from doctors who are using it on themselves and using it on their patients and seeing incredible results. So we're going to share those two very quick little testimonies, and then we're going to introduce our special guest and wrap things up.
But when do I sing, Deborah? I don't know when I'm singing yet.
You're going to sing at the end. You're going to sing as you play us out.
I suffer occasionally from a headache or migraine. One day I woke up with it and I thought, oh my gosh, I got to cancel my day. I used the equipment. I still remember 11th minute because it was so profound. I feel this sharp pain somewhere in the back of my head, somewhere around here. Split second later, the whole headache migraine was gone. Like something has opened up and allowed the flow of energy and obviously voltage. And I've never had that before. Usually once you get into headache migraine state, you can kiss goodbye all your methods. That was pretty cool that, it worked, and it worked so profoundly.
Well, it's a wonderful adjunct to any care that somebody might be getting, and it really doesn't matter what condition that you're suffering from. There's always a hallmark of low voltage being a part of that condition. So if someone is open to it and they're getting this treatment on a regular basis, no matter what other treatments they're currently getting, this can aid and help in the process of restoration and healing of the body.
Awesome. Really quick, I forgot, before we introduce our very special guest and we wrap things up, Jerry, can you tell us about our new referral program? Because again, we've got this new referral program. If you are a device owner, then we would love for you to refer friends and family. And Jerry's going to explain a little bit more about that.
One of the things that we have always done, but we really want to be mindful this year because it seems that we're getting a little better, but we're getting more and more people who are not well. And this information is so golden for so many people. We've seen so many healing transformations because of this, but we need healing warriors out there. We need people to help us spread this message, share your testimony. And if you have a testimony of life-changing experience like Alex, he told his mom, his dad, his brothers, his sister-in-law. So we wanted to empower you to get that word out. So we are saying that if you can give us the contact of the person, a loved one, a coworker, anyone that is suffering through pain or suffering through a diagnosis that doesn't know where to turn and they tried everything else, we want to give a referral of $250 that if when they purchase, you get $250 for at least just giving us a name that we can follow up on. You can use it, we can pay you as a 1099 income, or you can just save it as a bank in your credit. So that way, when we have new amazing products come out, you have a bank to use that money towards that. But again, this is just how can we reach more people? Our practitioner list is growing, our affiliate list is growing, but it's those individuals that walk around and with loved ones that need help. And we want to be able to support you and your loved one and your family members. So I hope that helps. That's something that we haven't tried before. We want to see about how we can make this grow to where it's nationwide. Again, remember, it's all about getting the people to voltage first in order to get them well as well. So I hope you guys like it. And I think, Deborah, we're going to have a link on our website that people can click on, and you will be providing us a name, email, phone number, and then also a check mark if that we have permission to reach out to them as well. And then we will get that information of who you are, and then we'll get you in our databases doing so. Am I missing anything or?
No, yeah. So I've got that link that I've just put in the chat there. Someone asked very early on, can you refer people even if you're not a device owner? I mean, sure. However, we would say, why aren't you a device owner as well? And, we want to say that we really work with people in order to support them and get them the help that they need. So if you need some financial assistance, we've got a lot of different ways, a lot of different financial programs in order to put a device on layaway or different credit options so that you can get a device, because we really feel like this is something, again, that we feel like it is going to benefit everyone. Okay, we've got a lot of questions that are coming in, but I want to introduce our very special guest. So our special guest, let me pull up her incredible bio. Our special guest is Carrie Muma. Carrie has been a physical therapist for 28 years and over the past 10 years has shifted into frequency and polarity-based therapies. She is a holistic health coach, blood microscopist, cell core practitioner, and is neuromatrix technique certified. She helps people with issues that others haven't. And this is something, this testimony of this doctor who shared about how like, this is the baseline. This is where you can start. And this is something that Carrie definitely does. She focuses on the internal and external terrain of each individual and applies the 5 root causes of chronic disease. She specializes in frequency and polarity-based therapies and treats the body as an electrical system. She has studied the work of so many doctors and cohorts through healing of the ages. She believes God designed your body to heal itself as long as you give your cells, your mind, and spirit what they need to repair themselves. She guides her clients through various cleanses, focusing on the liver, colon, gut, and parasites. She utilizes biogenetic scans, cold laser, Rife technology, vitamin optimization, and scalar and frequency selective microcurrent therapies, biomodulator and biotransducer. During her sessions with her clients, she is full of nuggets of information to share and will provide you action steps on day 1 to get your wellness journey started. So Carrie, welcome.
Hi,
Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I butchered your bio a little bit, but is there anything that you want to, explain a little bit more about what you do and what you've seen? Like, maybe if you could share a couple testimonies about what you've seen, then I've got a couple other questions to just help us dive into things a little bit deeper.
Yes, I would love to. Hi, everyone. So as a physical therapist, we're given some different tools like ultrasound and electrical stimulation, TENS units, all this stuff to work with people. And I did that for 20 years. And I've seen so much of a difference between using the biomodulator and biotransducer versus an ultrasound and e-stim. So any practitioners out there, I highly recommend you start using this in your clinic. I had a client years and years ago. It was my friend's mom, and she had torn her hamstring terribly, and black and blue and huge. And we did the traditional heat, ultrasound, and massage. And we did this for, I think she was there for 6 months. It was terrible. And I felt bad that we weren't healing her faster because she was a nurse, and I was trying to get her back to the OB, GYN ward. And that stood out to me. And recently I had a guy come in with a hamstring tear so severe, it reminded me of her. And his leg, his hamstring it's swollen up huge. And I thought, oh no, I think he completely tore it. They were talking about getting a CT scan and having a surgery on it. Well, I said, well, just wait a minute, come on in to the clinic and let's take a look at this and see if we can get it going. He couldn't even bend it. I laid him on his stomach. He couldn't even bend his knee up. And I started working on him. And within 30 minutes, he was able to lift his leg all the way up. And I go, okay, you didn't completely tear it. So let's hold off on surgery and everything. And let's just keep doing this like 2 or 3 times a week. And he did that. And within 1 month, he was back out on the ranch and doing his farming again and with his cows and milking and all this stuff. And prior to that, he couldn't do that at all. He could hardly walk. So just little, like these things like this, these stories like this it's just night and day what the biomodulator can do, because it has frequency specific microcurrent, and it basically will give you what you need, if that makes sense. A TENS unit and e-stim is more like blocking the pain. And this is like, let's heal the body. Let's do this a little differently and let's heal the body. So I'm super happy to utilize these in my clinic. And it's not just injuries and stuff. It's also other things. Like, for example, I had a lady that suffered with constipation her entire life. And she said she'd only go like once a week. And we started using this. I did flipped her polarities through the gallbladder circuit. And we did the autonomic nervous system reset. And then I did some infinity. And I attached the two together and did infinity over her pyloric valve and the ileocecal valve. And the next day she says, oh my gosh, I had a bowel movement today and I'm not due for another 5 days, And so she started having regular bowel movements, ends up purchasing the equipment. And so I highly recommend this is something people have at home, because when you get into a situation and you don't have one, I feel bad for you, because this last weekend I kind of hurt my knee. I was playing pickleball and wanted to prove the 20-year-olds, that I could stay with them, my kids. And I went for a ball and kind of, tweaked my knee. And on the way home, it swelled up kind of like a balloon. And I'm like, oh, I can't even bend the thing. And I can only bend it to about 100 degrees. And so I started using my biomodulator on it. I did 10-8, just literally use the electrode here and did that for maybe, I don't know, I probably sat there for 30 minutes and worked on it. And the next day I woke up, I had full range of motion. I went up down the stairs, no pain. So these things really work. And I really think people should either have these as a practitioner in their clinics, or, if you don't have one at home, you really, really should get one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So Carrie,
I was just so someone asked in the chat, Carrie, did you use the biomodulator or the transducer to help with the constipation?
I did both. So I connected them, and I flipped our polarities with 10-8 attached to this. And then I went through and did the infinity on the neck, and I did 10-8 on the back of her neck. And then I did infinity over the valves to help her get out of that sympathetic on and close those valves.
It's fascinating. So I know, Carrie, I myself am a patient of Carrie Muma, and she has given me some amazing tips and given me this incredible liver cleanse that I actually did. And I thank you for that, Carrie. And we talk about biostacking, right? And that's something Carrie does really well. And to get an hour with her, and you'll have to fill out this questionnaire, and she'll go through everything. It's one of the best hours that I've used in regards to what things I need to address. And you're so good at it, and you dump things down for me to understand and to really apply. So I appreciate you 100%. Tell us what more can we do? I know through teleminists, you're in Lincoln, Nebraska. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm just south of Lincoln, Nebraska. So I'm about 15 minutes south in Hickman. If you want to see me in our clinic, I'm in a Hickman physical therapy, about a minute from my house. It's great. And people can come in if they want to fly in. They can stay in Lincoln, Southeast Lincoln. Otherwise, you can book an appointment with me online, like Jerry said, and we go over the whole gamut, the 5 root causes of disease. I call it dis-ease. And I add on a 6th one, which is parasites. And so which falls under the toxins, because parasites release toxins too. So we go through those 5 root causes of what's going on with your body. The dental infections, the root canals can block the voltage and energy. I highly encourage people to get their mercury amalgams removed with a biological dentist. Emotions get stuck and stored in organs based on the organ, and the teeth store emotions as well, like Amy was talking about. The toxins, I really focus on toxins. They're in the air, the water, they're in your food. The EMFs are really significant. I go through teach people the sleeping, like a sleep system you can use for grounding while you're sleeping. The thyroid is another one. A lot of people are running around with hypothyroidism. They don't even know it because the doctors are only looking at TSH. So we have a little lab panel, just a real small one. It's under $100, and you can do it on demand. And we can go through and look at D levels, B12 levels, your thyroid functioning. My husband's also a holistic pharmacist, so he also sees people online and helps them de-escalate medications as well, and looks at those lab values too, and helps you come up with a plan for cleansing and for supplements and all that. And then the 5th thing that we find is the scars and tattoos will also short out a circuit. I have a ton of people that come in with C-section scars, and those scars will short out the stomach, spleen, and pancreas circuit, which also is your entire reproductive system, and it also shorts out your entire endocrine system. So there goes the thyroid again, which is one of the most common things I probably see. I had one lady, I cleared a scar. There's a frequency in here that says SCR for scar, and you attach it to your biotransducer, and then you run that on that scar for about 3 minutes, and you can muscle test, and it'll be strong after you've cleared the scar and you get the molecules going. They're all jumbled up after you hit the fascial tissue, and then you can line them back up, and the voltage can run through that scar again. And that lady, I removed her, I did that treatment on her, and she called me. It was months later, and she goes, I couldn't figure it out. She goes, I've lost 60 pounds and I couldn't figure out how I lost the weight. And she goes, then I remembered months ago, we're at a conference together and I removed her scar or released that scar with the biomodulator and transducer. And she goes, I swear by it. I said, I know it's that you released the scar that I lost that weight. So that was kind of a neat example too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I'd love you to just really quick, because this is the thing here is like, we can talk about we talk about voltage, and like we say, like it's so important whenever we have people come to us and they say like, I have X, this is what's going on, this is where my pain is, this is what's happening, blah blah blah. We always say, okay, great. First thing you've got to do is get that voltage. Get your voltage into your cells. That is the foundation. Once you get your voltage into your cells, your body will be able to start healing itself. And then they'll call us up and be like, okay, I've got my voltage. I'm doing my daily protocol, or I'm recharging every day. Something is still not working. And then we go, okay, so there's other things that are draining our voltage as fast as you're putting that voltage in. And Jerry, you have a really good analogy that I like, where you talk about like, if your health system is a canoe and you've got a bunch of holes in your canoe and your canoe is filling with water, your voltage is basically like plugging those holes with the canoe. But if you can't like if there's more holes that are happening, more toxins, more emotional trauma, more thyroid issues, more scars, more tattoos, if there's all of these other things, then they're continuing to poke those holes in the canoes, and it's then making the voltage.
You're going to sink.
Exactly.
You're going to sink.
And that's where.
And if you can get to the shore, when you get to the shore, you're able to get the canoe out of the water, replace the wood strips, so that way you can get back on easy sails of any lake or any ocean. That's exactly right. And that visual that was told to me actually by Scott, it just made a lot of sense. So again, it's all about the basics of getting that voltage in. And one of the things that I want to make sure we touch before we end, Amy and Danielle talked, and so did Carrie, is polarities. Talk about the batteries, make sure that they're stacked correctly and they're ready to take a charge. And, I work out every single day. I train for a 5K run. So one of the things that I have to do before I do any activities, I correct my polarities. So that way, whatever thing I do in movement, my batteries are charging and I feel great. Ever go work out and then 2 hours later, you're tired again? Your body wasn't ready to take that charge. So I'm sure with Carrie and a lot of the practitioners I speak to, they correct everyone's polarities first. So that way, whatever modalities they use on their patients, the patient is keeping that voltage. The same thing with say if you want to talk about the biocharger. Okay, so you sit in front of the biocharger, it's frequency, right? So if you correct the polarities, give your body the opportunity to receive and keep the charge. So there's so many different elements. And if you're not diligent or if you're not committed to your health on a daily basis, we're probably not for you. It's if you got to see it as you brush your teeth, you can correct your polarities. If you're stalling, feeling out of whack, or your anxiety, or you just feel off, balance the autonomic nervous system on the vagus nerve. That's probably next to the polarity. That's probably the second most important step to do, is balance your autonomic nervous system. Everything gets level. Sacral pump gets turned on. Your digestive, your immune system gets turned on because it got you out of fight or flight. Then you go to a chiropractor, you go to a massage therapist. After you do this, your production of that session is going to be so much better because your body is at a very calm state. And I'm sure Carrie does all those with her patients, to that way when they leave, they're a totally new person. It's just as simple as that, but it takes commitment and dedication. So let's get back on our boat and get out on the ocean, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love, Carrie, I'd love you to actually give us a step-by-step explanation as far as like what you do. So if someone, you have a patient and they've got such and such issue, and you go, okay, first go get the biomodulator. They've got the biomodulator. They're now, using it at home. And for anyone who's listening and they're not a device owner, and, Jerry's throwing around different words about resetting autonomic nervous system, resetting polarities, all this kind of stuff. we would explain all of that for you. Like, don't get overwhelmed. Those are things that's very, very simple. Like, this is a very simple device that you can, have in your backpack, pull out, be able to use on yourself in 2 minutes, and exactly. But let's say someone's got it, and then they still need to, they're like, okay, what's next? And so, Carrie, I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about those 5 factors or 6 factors that you look into, and how you look at them and treat your patients, because I think that that's really beneficial for people to hear.
Well, I really believe that toxins are a huge factor, like Amy was talking about. I tell my clients that doing a 1-day liver cleanse once a week is probably the best thing you can do for your health. And I also believe that binders are the new vitamin, because if you have a cell and your cell has toxins all around it, then how are you going to get the vitamin in, right? So my favorite way to quickly clean out the liver and detoxify the client is by giving them this product called glutathione. And if you've never heard of glutathione, there's a reason. Glutathione is the master antioxidant that your liver produces. And most of us are running around with a liver that functions at only 15% of normal. So just think how much better we can feel when we start cleansing out our liver. Well, there's a quick way to do liver cleansing every day of your life, and it's a simple swish. I have it right here. I just got some in the mail. Super happy about this. I think Senergy, you guys have it, Senergy.us has it online on their webpage. What glutathione, basically, most people, if they take glutathione, they'll take it as an oral tablet and they'll swallow it. The problem with that is that your gut is very acidic, and it'll break down that glutathione, and you won't be able to use it. So, and that's the same thing with B12. I always have them put it under their tongue. But with this stuff, you swish it, and you swish it in your mouth for I do about a minute, and you swallow it. And it's tiny nano-sized particles of glutathione that get into your cells in basically 70 seconds. And it's just like that. Glutathione is a machine gun cleaning out your liver. I mean, it's just the super simple, fastest way. Just clean out that liver. A lot of people will notice different wrinkles going away on their face because they've started using this. And it's basically your organs are connected to your face. So if you've got these lines across your forehead, that's your digestive system is toxic. If you've got the angry 11 right here, that's your liver needs cleansing. If you've got this stuff hanging right here, this is all your lymphatic system, okay? And the jowls, if you got this hanging down, these are your bowels. So you've got toxins there. So you start swishing this stuff and keep going on it. I've been on it for 2 years now. I've seen phenomenal results. It's the only product I've stayed on it for 2 totally. The longest I've ever stayed on a product is this one. But the nano-sized technology helps it get into the cells like that. So all the other supplements you're taking, they're kind of a big tablet that you take, and it kind of jams into the cell, and it hits kind of a little piece of the cell and gets absorbed a little bit. This is like black pepper on a tennis ball, just going into your cells just like that. So it's kind of a new level of supplementation. And the other thing they have on their website is the same thing. Oh, here it is. It's the same thing, a few other ingredients, and it's in a spray. And so you can spray your face. You can take your baby's diaper off and spray your baby with it, but it has hyaluronic acid, glutathione. It has phenomenal, and they nanosize it, so it just gets right into your skin immediately. You can put it over your makeup or whatever. But these are 2 phenomenal products. I also put people on like a 6-day liver cleanse. And every time you do one of these 6-day liver cleanses, it'll improve the function of your liver by 15%. They've seen people that do 8 or 9 of these in a row, and they can get rid of their autoimmune disease. They've seen people with cancers that are getting rid of stuff like that after like 29 of them. Like, it's a lot. But when you've got something serious going on, you're kind of ready to do anything it takes. And the other thing we do is the parasite cleansing. We have a way we can ship stool off and test it and see what you have going on, and then do a 3-month cleanse and retest it to see what you have. If you've gotten rid of it, if you haven't, we keep going. So there's ways to detoxify, tons of ways to detoxify, and we found a lot of good ones. So yeah,
Amazing.
we're at Healthy Roots, healthyrootstogether.com. So if anybody was interested in taking a look at our website and booking an appointment online, I'd love to visit with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got onto glutathione. It's been 2 years now, and I'm telling you, and I'll share a personal story. I've been having this issue before I met Carrie. I had this issue with people would call like fungus on a big toe. And I knew not to take Lamisil. So I was doing some cleanses and what I can do naturally. I meet Carrie. She tells me about this stuff. Literally within a matter of 6 weeks, I started seeing a new nail growth. I take that spray, Carrie, and I spray it on my toe. And I saw then a more rapid growth of an improvement. And then I spray it on my liver because I know that big toe is connected to the liver, gallbladder, meridian. So I know sprays at gallbladder, in my liver and that toe, I'm telling you, it has totally changed the recovery of my toe. So this stuff works, and I take it everywhere I go. I do it multiple times a day, just with the swoosh, a quick 30-second under the tongue, leave it there for 15 seconds, for what I understand, and then just swoosh it around your mouth for 30 seconds longer. If you're okay with it, you can either swallow or you can spit it out. But that spray stuff is amazing, and just spray it all over, all over the body. So Carrie, thank you. I said, we have to carry this stuff. And you back up with a lot of studies as well, third-party studies. And you can find a lot of this information on our website about the incredible function that this product does. It's amazing.
So we've got a couple more minutes. If anyone has a specific question that they would like answered by Carrie, please feel free to drop it in the chat. I saw someone earlier, Jean Williams asks, and Carrie, if you want to answer this, can it help? So can the biomodulator help bend my knee like it used to? Can't kneel down, have difficulty bending it enough to get in and out of my car, and my balance is poor. So Carrie, what would you say to Jean?
Well, Jean, there's hope. So I had a gentleman that was having trouble going downstairs because he had so much pain. He was about to have a knee replacement. And I said, well, let's try the biomodulator. And so I actually stuck electrodes on each side of the knee and ran it for maybe 30, 45 minutes. And he goes down those stairs, one over the other, and looks over at me like, what did you just do? And I was like, holy cow, because they told him bone on bone. And he goes, well, what's going on? I said, well, here's my thought. I don't know if this is true, but I think there's toxins that get stuck, like inorganic materials, possibly parasite waste, whatever it is that kind of solidifies inside of a joint. And sometimes that is your cause instead of a bone on bone. And so when you run a frequency on it, it can flush it out of there. And he ended up getting the machine so that he hasn't had this was 2 or 3 years ago, and he has not had that total knee replacement yet. So there's definitely hope. So.
It's all about regenerating, right, Carrie? It's all about giving the body what it needs to regenerate.
Absolutely.
So we've got another question here from Anna. How can it help? I'm not even going to try. Carrie, you want to take it away?
Lymphedema?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So lymphedema, I would actually start you on some liver cleansing. So I get you on that Swish 30 right away. And I'd also have you start doing a lot of liver cleansing, because here's what happens. When your liver gets more and more full, and your liver panel that they do, the CMP panel, that even though your enzymes are in the normal range and they're creeping up, they really should shorten that range, because you're in trouble when your liver enzymes are way up here and they're on the high side and they are flagging it. That means you really have a toxic liver. But we have reversed this. In my dad personally, he did 2 liver cleanses, and his liver enzymes went from high to normal in 2 cleanses. And I have the lab to prove this. It's crazy. And so when your liver gets clogged and full, basically it's spilling out into your lymphatic system. Okay, it spills into your pancreas. So you might be diabetic or pre-diabetes. So as soon as you start getting that liver, the more cleansing of the liver you can do by starting your Swish and then getting on these 6-day liver cleanses will be a huge change for you. Then you're going to also be doing this daily, at least once a day, your polarities and all your frequency to get the voltage up so your cells can heal. and repair.
And I think the question has to be is like, why did I get it? I go, well, we know what to do to clean it out and do a liver cleanse, but what got me to this state where I have to deal with it? You didn't have enough voltage. So it's all about providing that voltage. Yet again, it's about giving the body the raw materials that it needs. And we can figure out this other stuff and help you with the process of replenishing, right? So just adding that voltage is a big step to this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, Carrie, if you don't want to answer this, you're welcome to skip it, because the big, like, people talking about cancer can sometimes be a little bit tricky. And I know that we actually have some client testimonials in-house that we are getting approval right now for people to share, because again, our devices are FDA approved or FDA accepted for pain and inflammation. Interestingly enough, in other countries, they're accepted for more things, but in the US, those are the two things that we are technically FDA approved for. But as you've seen, and as we share from so many people's stories, there's a lot of other ways that it can be used. There's a lot of other modalities. There's a lot of other implications for that. And so we do have some stories that we will be able to share soon when it comes to cancer patients who are using our devices. But if you want to speak to this, Carrie, Lynn's asks if you use this device to treat cancer patients, specifically prostate, any testimonials on the benefit of treatment, or if you had someone with cancer who came to you, Carrie, what would you recommend them?
Yes, I do have people that come to me for that. And it's like a holistic approach. It's not one thing, one size fits all. There's more to the story. So I go in and look at what's going on in your internal terrain. Like, what are you putting in your mouth? What are you drinking? What are you, are you getting outside? Are you getting exercise? Are you getting scalar energy? And then I look at their external terrain, like what are the products you're using, and what are the stress factors in your life and your emotions? I mean, there's so many things that go into it. So looking at it through the different lens is a big part of it. But if I had personally had cancer, I would definitely be doing my polarity work and flipping my polarities, because cancer only occurs when your voltage gets so low that your polarities flip, and then it goes down to a +30, and that's where you get cancer. So by getting the polarities flipped on a daily basis, it makes it much harder for these bugs to be alive and the cancer to thrive in your body, and avoiding sugars and bad oils. I mean, there's a lot of things. So when you book an appointment with me, we will go through all of these things, these factors. So you're going to be changing your lifestyle in many ways. But the voltage, it all goes back to your cellular voltage. And you can't make a new cell that's actually functioning right unless you give it the raw materials and the voltage. And that's where the biomodulator comes in and biotransducer.
And same with oxygen. We know that the three pillars of what makes chronic disease thrive like cancer is, you got to have polarities, you got to have oxygen, and you got to have voltage. You have those three things, your body is housing and protected from anything thriving that's below of that voltage state. So we also talk about oxygen. We kind of make fun of the older people that have to walk around with oxygen, right? Well, listen, we have a hydrogen machine that we now sell, but we have that type. If I'm going to be on a meeting, I have that oxygen on. Anytime that I can just add added oxygen into my body, just supports the body even more so. So between my voltage, oxygen, and polarities, I'm going to be good and set. And if something does happen, then I go into a deeper dive, and that's where I call Carrie. So Carrie, help me figure out the root cause of that. And it's about just doing preventative now and not waiting till you get to that point as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got like 1 more minute. So if someone has a burning question, feel free to drop it in the chat. But in the meantime, Carrie, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share? We've shared your website many, many times in the chat, but we'll put it up again. So definitely reach out to Carrie if you would like to, schedule a session with her. We, very much recommend it.
I also want to tell you, I do make these custom frequency energetic remedies for people as well. They'll ship me like some hair, like a little tuft of hair and some nails. I have a Quest 4, which is a bioenergetic scan of the entire body, and it's just phenomenal. So and I can ship those out too. If you're in person, I can put that frequency into a laser too and laser that quickly into your body too, along with the polarity flipping. So we do a lot of things here in a tiny town called Hickman.
Yeah. I believe you. I've been trying to get her to come to Dallas for years. She just won't do it. And you also have these frequency stickers, right? So I got that to my spouse. He was having back pain, and I put the 2 stickers, and he loves them.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you can infuse frequency into these holographic stickers using this machine I have. And I've had like several people, if I hit the right frequency, the patient's like, oh my gosh, I feel great, or their back pain goes away. And other people, if it's not the right frequency, I'm not going to lie, it's not going to probably work for you. But if we hit it, oh man, that's all it takes for some people is that frequency sticker. It's like, well, $40 for 20 of them. Might as well try it, right?
Done. Exactly.
So
Carrie, thank you.
Yeah, I just put a link in the chat. So one thing that we always talk about is like, we understand that this is an investment. We understand that these devices are, they go through so much testing, and they're all manufactured here in the US. So of course that has a higher price point than things made in China. Like our devices have been around for decades, and they are, as Scott said, tried and true. And so because of that, they are an investment. And so sometimes it's really important for people to get their hands on and like get a demo before they want to purchase. And we totally understand that. So we do have a practitioner map on our website. If you go to our website, the link is right here. You can go and find a practitioner near you, and therefore they will, demo you. If you're in the Dallas area, we strongly recommend to just give us a call. We would be happy. We're going to have a link very soon up on our website so that you can come in and have a demo. And it's actually like a full energetic therapy. And we will, go through so many things with you, look at your voltage, and then actually give you a full, voltage, like treatment, like, recharge your cells. And then that will give you the opportunity to really like feel it. So feel free to give us a call if you're in the Dallas area or you want to come and visit us. We would love to see you. Jerry, what else?
I would say in regards to the investment piece of it, don't let the lack of finances keep you from getting well. There's different avenues. Of course, we do have financing options. We also will do a layaway option, no interest. Well, we'll just charge your credit card however many months you need. But, I've gotten to, because Scott and I travel really all over the country in regards to therapies and demonstrations. There is one particular women's group that have a book club, and they all pitched in together, bought a device for themselves. They meet once a week. Now, we talk about daily protocol, but listen, if you have one day of full voltage, man, you're better off than what you were before. So what they do in their book club is, as they're reviewing the Buke and as they're fellowshipping together, which again is an electron donor, right? So they literally pass the hand grist and foot plates for total body charging around their circle. And they all invested in the community. Even with your family, even Alex does his wife and his mom and his dad. So, again, get your community together, find out what your resources are. And, or we have these practitioners who also have subscriptions to come see them to get charged twice a week or get their polarities corrected or the autonomic nervous system reset. So there's a lot of different avenues for people to get the voltage that you need. Just say, oh, I don't have the money, I'm not going to be able to get well. That's so far from the truth. If you need any assistance, Senergy is always here to find out how we can think together to get it with what you need. Okay. Unfortunately, until insurance deems it medically necessary, it just is not covered. It's just not covered. I mean, I think since the 7 years I've been here, I may have seen 3 with a lot of diligence on the client's part and just nagging the insurance company. I think they were reimbursed for that, but it rarely works. But again, just allow yourself to think outside the box and how can I be the CEO of my health? And also how can I help with others? So again, we're 4 minutes over, which is always a great conversation that we do with all our incredible community, our community online, our community with our practitioners. I mean, it is really a beautiful time here at Senergy because we're about to just do some amazing things, and we appreciate you guys are along with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again, everyone. There's a couple other, questions here. Just going to quick popcorn them. So Deidre, yes, we go to biohacking conferences. And so, reach out to us. We always email our database when we're going to go to one. So make sure that you're signed up on our database. If you're not, just go to our website, Senergy.us. And there's, pop-ups and places that you can go and sign up.
And if you're in Plano, just come see us.
Yeah.
Just come see us. We'll give you the whole kit and caboodle, and you'll come here in our office and we'll give you everything that you need to experience that. One-on-one, no time limit. It's all you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Thank you everyone so much. Again, feel free to reach out to us, and we hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carrie.
Bye, Carrie.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.